So I'm gonna start on the drawer slides today. I have a plan put together, basically all the boards I need to cut, the correct measurements. You see in the background, I have our bikes laid out, trying to figure out last night, just get the right spacing to figure out how to get all 4 bikes in the back of the van. So I think I have it all worked out, so I'm just gonna go through and start cutting all the boards and then start doing some mock-up in the van. So working on the first drawer, got the sides cut and then the base. And based on my measurements, I'm gonna stack these. That way you'll see it when it goes together, but this height will almost match up to the height of the 4-inch boards, which are actually really 3.5 true measurement. Try to show you what that look like. So that this would be the floor of the van, so there'll be a little bit of a gap to lift this up off the van floor, but then the tops of these boards would be flush with each other. So I'm going to go through and drill a bunch of holes, pre-drill them all so that I can run screws through the bottom of this into this board. I'll probably run a little bit of a bead of glue as well, and then I'll countersink these screws just a little bit. So I'm gonna get one side glued up, clamp it, drill all the holes, countersink them, and then put all the screws in, and then do the second side. So I got the first slide built as far as the platform goes. Essentially, I have it just laying on a piece of cardboard now. The idea is that this should slide out and we have our bikes mounted on it. So I already have the other side pieces cut, so now it's got to work on getting the rails and the side pieces mounted properly. It's really critical there is just alignment and the spacing, making sure everything is like perfectly straight so you don't have any weird angles whenever the drawer is coming out. Once I do that, I'll put it back in, test fit it, and then figure out the right way that I want to go about mounting it to the floor. Probably going to be a combination of pocket screws in the 4-inch boards, as well as a couple of angle brackets, but I'll probably need to take a chisel and kind of notch those out to put them flush inside the wood so that the sliders can go over top of it. Because I don't want the brackets sticking out this way into the floor where you can see them. I'm trying to keep everything kind of clean and hidden. I've got one slide attached to the drawer. It fits really good. I went ahead and pre-drilled all the holes, and I'm using these stainless screws, kind of coarse thread to hold them in. They have pretty large heads, but they fit low enough below so that's not a problem with the slide. And in order to find the holes, you basically just slide the drawer down a little bit at a time and find all your placements. I have the top of the slide with the top of the drawer, so I'll do the same thing with this other board so I know that everything's aligned. I'll put links to these slides and all the hardware and everything in our article on our website, and I'll put that in the link in the description below so you can check that out. So I got one drawer done, at least one side of it done. So the slide works pretty good. Once it's in the van, this is actually the part that's going to get attached to the floor, so this slide will be what moves. But works pretty good. I'm using like top choice like pine for some of this trim. I could have spent like way more money and got like maple or something. In hindsight, maybe I would have done that. It would have been like 3 times the cost or something though. Because some of this pine, I went through a lot of boards. Some of them were still noticeably kind of curved a little bit, got a little bit of a warp. Even in the store, I went through tons of boards trying to find the best ones possible. Pine just inherently isn't going to be the straightest, and wood in general is always going to have a little bit of wave to it just because of what it is. But once I get it all bolted down, I'll try to straighten some of that stuff out once I get it screwed in. So it should be pretty good. So both drawer slides work. Everything's aligned pretty well. The only downside with this configuration that I have mocked up now is for me to mount this properly, I think I'm going to have to disassemble this almost completely. Like I need to take both 2 sides off. But I probably need to place it in there, make some marks where it's going to go, then take it apart, do pocket screws, probably put some angle brackets in the boards, mount them where the lines are, and then probably need a second set of hands to hold the drawer in place to reattach it to the board because the drawer is going to be sticking out of the back of the van. So I can put the rest of the screws back in. So I'll probably get all the way up to the point before I do the final mounting, before I can kind of call it quits there. And I could probably hop over and start working on the second drawer. So we have the drawers done. We're going to disassemble them tonight since it's raining outside, and put a coat of poly and stain on them. Let them dry overnight. Hit it with some really fine steel wool in the morning. Put a second coat on. And then when we get some better weather, we'll do the actual final installation in the van. We have the drawer slides stained. I'm going to start putting the brackets onto the rails that will be bolted to the floor. And then I'll put the drawer slides on the actual drawers. We'll do some mock-up in the van to figure out where they're going to be positioned, and I'll probably put some tape down on the ground in the floor of the van to mark where these bars go. And then we'll take the drawers out and then put all the pocket screws in, screw the actual brackets to the floor, and then once I get a second set of hands, we can hold the drawer in place while we attach the slide to the rails inside the van. And that'll basically wrap up the slides. I can't put them in yet until we actually finish up some of the cabinet wall in this back section. So I started mocking up plumbing, but I need to put a piece of plywood up before I put the rail up against it, or else I won't be able to access the plywood to put it in there. Because I want to put a piece of ply going to the floor and then put the rail for the slide up against it. That way I don't have any kind of gap. My intention is to try to run some of the plumbing underneath this cabinet. So I'll cut some access holes, some basically doors, and put some hinges and stuff on them, so that once we put the rail in, we can still get to them if we need to at some point. But for now, I'm just going to finish up the reassembly on the drawers and put them to the side.